Let's just all recognize for a moment that this getup right now is me attempting to channel Scorpio/spooky energy.
Boy, if you don't...
Hola my beautiful lotus flowers, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're into nerding out on everything astrology, spirituality, and self-transformation, this is a community for you. Today is all about having the planet Mercury in the zodiac sign Scorpio, and what this means is at the exact moment you were born, the planet Mercury was moving through the zodiac constellation of Scorpio. If you're not entirely sure what Mercury means in astrology, then have no fear. I will have a pre-recorded intro portion to Mercury before the actual video on this placement begins. So be sure you watch that if you're not entirely sure what the energy of Mercury entails in astrology. After that, we'll talk about some of the general traits of somebody who has this placement, and then we'll end the video by talking about a couple empowering tips for anybody who has this placement, or if you know somebody who does, then these empowering tips may help you add to their life more positively as well. So I'm not just going to leave you hanging with a bunch of information. I will have some advice at the end, so be sure you're staying tuned for that. Now, for a brief introduction to the planet Mercury, in case you're not familiar with it. Mercury is considered the quote-unquote messenger planet in astrology, ruling over thought, communication, how information is mentally processed, our intellect, routines, and our mental instincts. Mercury is actually the ruler of two zodiac signs, both Gemini and Virgo. Gemini is an air sign and Virgo is an earth sign. Wherever Mercury is at in your natal chart will tell you how you express yourself in regards to what Mercury rules over, such as how you communicate, how you think, etc. But it is very important to pay attention to whether Mercury was retrograde at the time you were born, as this can definitely alter how you express your Mercury placement. And the way that you identify that is there will be a little RX symbol next to your planet. If you're looking at a birth chart that provides this information, you'll see a little retrograde symbol next to this planet symbol, and that will tell you if it was retrograde at the time you were born. This can manifest for so many different ways for so many different people, so I won't be talking about if the planet is retrograde, but a lot of times the traits I talk about, a lot of opposite traits can manifest for this person. Like, for example, say the Mercury placement usually makes the person really good at communication. Well, if it's retrograde, then there's potential that maybe you struggle a lot with communication instead. So keep that in mind. Now, for the general traits of somebody who has Mercury in Scorpio. It's important to remember first that Scorpio is the fixed water sign co-ruled by both Mars and Pluto, symbolized by the scorpion. Number one, they can be natural gatekeepers between the physical realm and the deeper messages of the universe, and will often want to bluntly communicate these messages to others. In case you're not aware, Pluto is the planet of transformative cycles and Mars is the planet of war and aggression. So Mercury meeting the energy of Pluto means that this placement has a deep mental connection to the unseen energies of the universe. Mercury meeting the energy of Mars means there can be an assertiveness or straightforwardness to the way this person communicates. So oftentimes somebody who has a Mercury in Scorpio is probably going to express what they think and what they feel without a second thought and put it the most bluntly. They're not usually sugarcoating what they say unless there's other placements that are causing them to sugarcoat. But majority of the time, if they feel something, they're probably going to say it. Especially, let's say, for example, if they are with a friend of theirs and their friend tries on a dress or something. The Mercury in Scorpio will be like,
That dress isn't flattering.
that dress does not look good. Like, they will not sugarcoat, they'll be very blunt, and they'll tell you the harsh truth. But ultimately what this means is speaking their truth is very important to them because of that combination of Pluto and Mars interacting directly with the energy of Mercury, which again is the planet of communication, intellect, and thought. On top of being able to speak their truth, another thing that's going to be very important to them is actually bringing the esoteric knowledge that they just have an inner knowing of and bringing it out into the physical realm and vocalizing it. So this can even mean that they become some type of like intuitive healer or some type of psychic. This is definitely the type of person who has these truths within them from the universe. Like, it's like if they can get, you know, downloads straight from the universe. It's like they're a channel of open communication between the universe and people, and it'll be very important to them for them to be able to communicate these messages to people in some way. However, they must be careful of how they communicate it, because, you know, Mars is still there. Mars is pushing them to communicate a bit aggressively, so they just have to watch out for that. Number 2, they often have an excellent empathic radar, easily picking up on the energy and experiences of others around them and analyzing it for themselves. What I mean by this is their analytical thought process is very connected to the inner energy they feel themselves and the energies of others around them. This is because we have Mercury in a water sign, which water signs tend to have a stronger connection to the frequencies around them and their own intuition. Because they also tend to be good at picking up on people's patterns, tendencies, the way that they speak, then they naturally tend to analyze that, because again, this is something that's being channeled through Mercury, and Mercury is a very analytical, intellectual based planet. So instead of just feeling like something's wrong, they're gonna want to analyze that person or that situation that they're picking up certain energies from. And this is very strong, like investigative energy. So I would not doubt if somebody who has this placement gets into investigative work of some sort. This placement is really able to connect two things that tend to be considered kind of opposite, are like intuition / emotions, and our intellect and logic are typically considered two things that battle. But this placement allows for almost a bridge between the two. So somebody with this placement is strongly using that watery influence of picking up on the energies and the frequencies and having that intuition, but bridging it with the ability to analyze it logically and practically as well. Third, they may find themselves being extremely attached to their own ideals, beliefs, and emotions. Like I mentioned, Scorpio is the fixed water sign, and when a sign has a fixed quality, these signs are known for having a more stubborn, persistent, and loyal nature to themselves. Because this is a Mercury water sign, a lot of their words and their thoughts and how they decide things and what they believe in is going to be greatly attached to how they feel about things. So there can be a strong sentimental value to certain things that they believe in or they think. And this is something that holds true with all of the Mercury water sign placements, but because Scorpio is the fixed water sign, it's even stronger because they are not willing to back down on something that they believe or something that they think. It's because of this that people with this placement might even be the type to seem somewhat rebellious to others, in the sense that they don't feel the need to follow or agree with what everyone else is doing. They're perfectly fine with their own beliefs and the way that they want to express that, and they probably won't take no for an answer when it comes to other people. This is definitely a potentially argumentative Mercury placement, but not necessarily argumentative in a bad way. They're just willing to stand up for what's right, what's wrong, and they're also willing to express themselves vocally how they feel they need to express themselves, even if others don't necessarily agree with it. If you're enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos just like this one. And be sure to comment down below if you have Mercury in Scorpio or what your Mercury sign is. I love to know who's watching. And really quick, be sure that you are checking out my Patreon, which is now open for enrollment, for sign up, whatever you want to call it. And I will be releasing my November readings before the end of October 2021. Fourth, they have one of the strongest abilities to potentially heal or potentially harm themselves and others. Traditionally, the Scorpion has represented the cycle of light and dark, reminding people that our own rebirth comes from the death of something, which is similar to the symbolism of the phoenix. Because this is a symbol for Scorpio, it tells us about every Scorpio placement's tendency to bring forth great change and transformation through the destruction or death of something else. With Mercury being in Scorpio, the way that this channels itself the most in this person is probably through the way that they share their thoughts and their observations. On one hand, this is what can make these people such amazing healers and powerful figures for other people to listen to, because their superpower is to relay deeper truths to other people with ease. And in these deeper truths that they relay to people are the key to healing these people, whatever they're going through. They're going to really be the key holder for a lot of people to heal. But with that same deeper truth that they tend to just know about others, also holds the equal ability to destroy somebody and really harm them, because Mercury and Scorpios can potentially be really good at figuring other people out, like we talked about. So they can use this for good or for bad, and they have this very, whether they realize it or not, they have an attunement to people's vulnerabilities because of this emotional intelligence and because of this almost like ventriloquist type trait that they have to themselves, where they could easily be that type of person that is like 10 chess moves ahead of you before you even think about the fact that you're playing chess. But they can also use that for good. So with those deeper inner truths that they really want to relay to other people, with the connection that they have to source energy that they want to share with other people, they can share it by either healing those people or using it to greatly harm others. Now let's talk about a couple empowering tips for somebody who has Mercury in Scorpio. Number 1, they need to have ways to bring their profound emotional thought process into the physical rather than keeping everything internal. Because this is perhaps one of the deepest thinkers in the zodiac of all the placements, this means that they can easily become caged inside their own mind. Like people say, ignorance is bliss. So having such a strong connection to the energy of the universe can easily lead someone down a dark hole, because there's no ignorance here. This placement probably holds a lot of intuitive knowledge about many people and things that no one else really thinks about or knows about, almost like a keeper of secrets. So having effective ways to communicate these things that they're thinking about and really internalizing is going to be extremely important. If they can get those things in their head out into the physical, outside of their own bodies, then it will positively transform this person's life. So this is definitely the type of placement that could benefit greatly from journaling practices or other type of writing practices, because we are talking about Mercury, again, planet of communication, and talking about Scorpio. So this means that bringing things into the physical, bringing those very esoteric truths and bringing all of those energies that they feel and those frequencies that they feel, and being able to transmute it into the physical realm, it's going to be so important for this placement, rather than holding a lot of potentially dark things inside of themselves and causing their own selves to spiral out of control. Yes, I highly recommend, if you have this placement, to take up journaling and just be able to journal about all of the thoughts you have, all of the things that you're thinking, it doesn't even have to be organized, just journal, just let it all out. Don't worry about spelling, grammar, sentence structure, none of that. Just journal. Second, being self-aware of how they communicate with others and themselves can greatly empower their own life. Like we discussed about their ability to heal or to harm through words, it's very important that they fine-tune the way that they communicate, not only with themselves, but how they communicate with others as well. Their internal dialogue can potentially be so dark and so heavy and so serious that they can become caged in their own mind, like I mentioned before. If they aren't careful, these thoughts can be very self-mutilating, and I mean, obviously if they're feeling this way inside, then they can be even more likely to project that on people outside of themselves. So it's just really important to watch your own internal dialogue and your external dialogue if you have this placement. Start to be aware of the way that you tend to communicate, and this is where journaling can come into play too. If you notice that something caused you to lash out at somebody, or something caused you to internalize something that you don't like, or whatever it is, you can journal about that. And I highly recommend doing that. And I know maybe that's not what you want to hear. Maybe the idea of journaling sounds so annoying to you, but I'm telling you, for this placement, it'll make a huge difference. And once you start to notice those patterns of how you communicate, not only with yourself and your mind, but how you communicate with others outside of yourself, then you're going to be able to have more positive patterns in your life. You're going to be able to add more positive energy to the world. And if you're somebody who does want to use this placement for good, or be a healer in some way or anything, then it's only going to attract those things you want that much more. Once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos like this one, and head over to my Patreon link in the description if you want to check out the tiers I have available for yourself. And you can hop over to the LaBlue Lotus Facebook community, where we talk more about using astrology and spirituality for self-transformation. If you want more free personal content of mine, you can head over to my Instagram at Marisa LaBlue and watch these videos until I release a new one to help you even more on your astrological and spiritual journey. Until I see you next time, thank you so much again for being here. Adios.